So what if there's more to the story? What if what they've told us about how to achieve success is incomplete? I mean, there's advice that we've been given, right? You meet a lot of people, you learn new things, and you got to set goals. We've heard these things before. And that advice, it works really well for people who want to raise their hand and stand up and stand in the spotlight. But what about someone who doesn't want to stand in the spotlight? Look, no one was put on the planet to live in the shadows, but not everybody was meant to be on the stage. Over the past 25 years of taking a look at how things change, I've come back to this advice that they keep giving us. Meet new people, learn new things, and set big goals. Up until I was 15 years old, I actually sought out the darkness. I found corners. I was taught the best place to be was away. My goal was actually to be unnoticed. Until I was 15, I lived with my mom and her husband, and regularly we dealt with emotional and mental and often physical abuse. My stepdad, he was stressed and overwhelmed, and he turned to drugs and alcohol to cope. My brother and my sister and I, we did what we could to understand why. My only goal was to hide. School was no better. I was overweight, I was short, with a last name of W. I was always in the back of the class. I couldn't see over the students in front of me, and the teacher couldn't see me. Actually, it was the perfect place to hide. Do you know anyone who's hiding? Do you know anyone who doesn't want to be noticed? I was 9 years old. We were at dinner, it was a Friday night, and I said something, I don't remember what, and my stepdad looked at me and he pointed and said, "That's it. Sometime this weekend, you're gonna get it." After dinner, I washed the dishes and I retreated to my room. I spent fear hours trying to figure out what could I do to hide. I escaped to a coloring book and an adventure novel, Hardy Boys, hoping, praying that he'd forget. I didn't sleep for 2 nights. He didn't forget. Do you know someone who's hiding? Do you know someone who doesn't want to be noticed? And yet all the advice that we're given is to raise your hand, stand up, be noticed. What do they tell us? Make new friends, learn new things, and set big goals. I spent 15 years trying to understand how to make that advice my own. And in that time, I learned 3 lessons. That the advice that they give us, it can be transformed. That we can use it and grow on our own. The first lesson I call show up and follow up. And I learned it while I was at the South by Southwest conference in Austin, Texas. It's 3:20 p.m., it's March 12th, 2011. I'm flipping through a catalog of courses, panel discussions. It's raining outside and I'm trying to decide where to go next. I see a class, it jumps off the page at me. It says, from blog to book. I think I have a blog, I'd like to write a book. And then I see it starts in 10 minutes and it's about a mile away. So I turn to Jodi, I say, I gotta go. So I run to the venue, I sneak in the back, just like some of you, and I find a spot. And for the next 60 minutes, I'm in awe. Here are 3 publishers from New York City telling the audience the tricks and the tips and the tools. After an hour, I'm now waiting in line, trying to get my time with one of those publishers on the panel, and especially the guy named Matt. I think I got about 37 seconds with Matt. I walked away with his business card, and he didn't take mine. Upon leaving that hotel ballroom, the self-doubt kicks in. Who am I? Who am I to write a book? Who am I to stand out? Who am I to raise my hand? And as I usually do, I think, let me go do something else. So I call Jodi, hey, what panel are you going to? And as she's talking to me, I look over And there's Matt at the crosswalk waiting for the light to turn green. I look over and walk up and I say, "Hey, Matt, thanks for that panel discussion. I think I have a book in me." And he looks at me. He gives me his card and he says, "Email me if you want." Walking away, I realized he totally didn't remember me from an hour ago. So I thought, I showed up. I'm going to follow up. I went to the hotel. I spent 4 hours writing that email. I used the notes that he gave us in the panel discussion. I went online, I downloaded a template, and I wrote a 37-page book proposal. I printed it out. I found Jodi for a late dinner over a great beer in Austin, and we went page by page, making edits, making changes. Went back to the hotel room, and I clicked send. 9 days later, I'm emailing back and forth with the senior editor at the publishing house, and 10 days after that, I signed my first book contract with a New York City book publisher, all because I did 3 things. I told Jodi I gotta go. I showed up, and I followed up. My second lesson I learned when I almost gave up. I'm in the 3rd month of a graduate program at the University of California. I'm earning a master's degree in education and a teaching credential for high school. The days were intense. We went to class in the morning and I was in a student teaching position. I was watching a master teacher and I was doing mini lessons for the high schoolers. And then in the afternoon and evenings, we'd go to class, we'd learn the theory of education, and then we'd make the lesson plans for the next day. The school I was teaching in was challenging. Both the students' engagement and their test scores were low. The budgets had just been cut again. And going along with that, staff morale was low. About the same time, I heard that my little brother was not doing well as he was reconciling with our childhood. So I called for a meeting with my academic advisor, Ron. I said, "Ron, I have to talk." And over one fall evening, 3 months into this program, I shared with Ron everything that I was working with, what was going on in my personal life, what I was thinking about education. Could I really handle the program? Now, he let me go a little bit longer, probably wanted to get all the complaints out of me. Because when there was a pause, I remember he smiled and he looked at me and he said, "Jason, would you know a good day if you saw one?" And I thought to myself, no. In fact, those of you in the audience tonight, think about the challenges you're facing right now. Think about the things and situations in your community today. Think about the global crisis that we're all dealing with. My question is, would you know a good day if you saw one? And what I learned from Ron that day, the lesson I took away, was to actually look for the good in the days. And you know what the crazy thing is? The more I look for them, the more I find them. And that leads me to the 3rd lesson. As I'm understanding this whole process of trying to engage, trying to learn so that I could teach. For the first 10 years of my career, I was busy. I'd ask all of you to raise your hand if you're busy. I was busy. The days extended. The mornings got earlier and earlier. And what I started doing in order to catch up and get everything done is I started working a little bit longer. I remember one night in particular, I looked toward the window and I couldn't see outside. It was dark. The sun had already set a few hours ago. The brilliance of the computer monitor in front of me, the stack of the paperwork off to the side. And I remember this night, out loud to nobody, I said, "I'll be done soon," as if someone was listening. The phone rang. I answered it. "Hello." This is before caller ID. And it's Jodi. "Jason, I was just wondering if you were going to come home anytime soon. You've missed dinner." I said, I know. I'm just finishing up a few more things. I'll be there as soon as I can." She said, "Great, Jason. I'd love to see you tonight before I fall asleep. We have a couple things to talk about." She says, "This is the 3rd night this week that you've missed dinner to stay at work. And Jason, it's Saturday. And suddenly, clarity. I had no idea when done was done. I had no way of knowing that my day was over. I had no way of saying I'm finished. It was always too much to do. So I vowed, I promised myself I would create a process where I would know when I was done. So many years ago, I started a process where I ask myself 3 prompts at the end of every day. It acts as my close on the day. If the sun kissing my face is the bookmark in the morning, these 3 questions are the bookmark in the evening. And since we're just about to call it a day, I thought I'd invite you to go through my prompts with me. So those of you who are willing, I'm going to ask you to gently close your eyes. And as I give you these prompts, I'm going to ask you to answer them for yourself. The first one, what did I finish today? What got checked off the to-do list? The second one, who helped me today? Who was there for me at school or in life or at work or at home? And the third question I ask myself, what am I grateful for? For what do I have an immense feeling of gratitude right now? Okay, open up your eyes, come back. Those are my 3 questions. I actually travel with a journal sized about the size of my hand, and every night I write the answers to those 3 prompts, and I've been doing this for too long than even to count. What did I finish today? Who am I thankful for today? For what am I grateful? In fact, let me just do one add to the process. Let me ask you all to bring that thing that you're grateful for to mind. Can you do that for me? Think of that thing that you're grateful for. See it or feel it or hear it. Do you all have that thing that you're grateful for? When you do, will you just snap 2 times? No one was put here to lurk in the darkness. But not everyone is meant to stand on the stage in the spotlight. Take the advice that they give you. Meet a lot of people. Learn a lot of things. Set big goals. And when it helps, use those 3 lessons to your advantage. Every day, follow up with something that you know you gotta do. Number 2, let yourself imagine what a good day would be and look for it. And number 3, acknowledge the process every day at the end of the day. Figure out something you completed. Let yourself be thankful for someone and feel that sense of gratitude. And when you are ready to be noticed in the way you want to be noticed, we'll be here for you.